from a very successful property management company to now the city mayor of the city I live in, Mayor Christi Fraga, bringing us a great insight of why to get involved with your community. Mayor Christi, thank you for coming to our podcast, my podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. We know each other
Woo.
for quite a while.
Yes.
At one point, we were neighbors.
Uh-huh.
And very proud of what you have done for this city.
Thank you.
Amazing. So you're very young, and I look at you now. You are protecting our interests, and this city is really coming out really nice. I invited you because you started as a property manager, and actually my mentor used to use your business, your services.
Yeah.
And he stuffs us nails, and he walks on his elbows. And if you were able to contain him and do business with him,
still do.
You still do.
Yeah, I still do.
I mean,
still
you definitely got my
number
vote
one
for
client.
that. That means that's a great background that you're able to keep checks and balances. Well, what a great transition to become a city mayor.
Yeah. So, we met each other because my background is accounting and finance, and I worked in the accounting department of Westfest. And started there learning a lot about property management, decided to take my expertise in accounting, which is what I studied in finance, and focus on property management, which is what I still do today. So I still have my company, scaled back a lot, but I'll still work with them on all the property management and overseeing the accounting part of the property management and even the actual property management in many of the deals. So that's my company. I also have a couple of clients that we do like bookkeeping for, payroll. That's what I studied. I've scaled back a lot because I've decided to devote myself to
The public
being
service,
the
of
mayor
course.
and public service. It's really my passion, my calling. Never thought I would do this, but did not study this at all. I kind of fell into it, but I learned a lot about what my calling, my true calling and passion was. Having the finance background is obviously very beneficial,
Of course.
because I see things from a different perspective. Even though government accounting is completely different, I've learned it, and it's easier for me to kind of understand it. And I have a very detail-oriented eye when it comes to those things. So I think that it's been a huge plus, also coming from the private sector and having my own business, wanting to implement a lot of those efficiencies into government. And I think it's what's helped me be a little bit different when it comes to the public service I provide, the customer services, which is what I say that I provide to my residents and the businesses in the community. And I think even my leadership style in the actual organization.
That's great. I think if I were to, sometimes I see when, you run for public office and you see where you come from. I'm a teacher, I'm this, I'm that. You never understand why, but you definitely have the background for running a lot of the things that we need, which is budgeting and stuff like that. And our city has just, as it became a city, when you took over after what was you're being the third mayor, right? You're the third mayor. Mm-hmm. Let's not talk about what happened before, but you're the third mayor and things are running really smooth. I guess we all lucky that with this boom after COVID, you were our mayor and you'll be able to handle that. How are you dealing with, which the good and the bad and the ugly on everything, this, the name, Doral, the growth has also brought with it a lot of development, a lot of traffic, I'm sure crime. Mm-hmm. You're doing great, but how...
So I've always said, and I was funny, I just came from a lunch where I was talking about this, that I've kind of changed the way people expect government and politicians, public servants to engage and interact. I'm very engaged with the community. I believe in two-way communication. To be a leader, you need to be able to listen really well. And so I truly believe in listening and implementing, and governing with the people, right? Yes, you've elected me to kind of lead the city, and I'm going to make those decisions. But I think it's important that we are a representation of what our community is. And so I'm very active on social media, and social media is not just about what you put out, it's what you're taking in. It's a two-way street, right? It's like old school marketing. You put out a mailer, it's nothing unless you do a follow-up call.
True.
You've got to follow up with people. That's what marketing is. And so the same thing goes with social media. It's just a different form. It's just a new way of doing it. And I think the beauty of social media is that you have the ability to communicate with people directly. You give them a glimpse into things that they wouldn't see before. Right. And so I've utilized that to govern and to communicate and to really show what transparency is. And I think that's the difference. Now, being the mayor of Doral, I'm extremely blessed. I'm honored to be able to serve this community. And I got it in a time, well, first I was a commissioner for 8 years. So I was here during a big part of its growth. And I was so lucky to be a part of that and to learn from both the mayors that we have, the good, the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
I learned what not to do ever again. And I said, those are things that I would not do. I would lead this way. So I think that's important that you learn from people and other people's mistakes. Try not to make them again. I'm not perfect, but I definitely came in with a vision on what I wanted to do for our city and where I thought we could go from here. Very lucky to walk into what I walked into, though. We were a financially stable city, a city that is desirable to many in the sense of whether it's residents, business owners with a huge potential. How do we manage the growth and the traffic? Well, I think it's a tough balance to keep, right? I said this to someone the other day who said, they were talking about the property where 107th, where the cows used to be,
yes.
on 107th and 41st, that whole area is turning into 2.5 million square feet of warehousing and about 150,000 square feet of retail. And they were like, why didn't they put any residents? And I was like, well, a lot of people didn't want residents. And I don't necessarily think that what they decided to do, and that was before I came back, was the right thing. I think a mix of uses in that area would have been more beneficial for our traffic. But the truth is, a lot of people say, no more residents, no more business. You can't just stop growth and development, especially in a city like ours. It's about managing the expectation of what that growth and development is going to look like and planning a city so that you have the right transportation, you have the right growth. You make sure that certain sections of the city are growing in its characteristics, right? So I tell people all the time, Doral, there's traffic everywhere, right? South Florida in general, until we fix our public transportation system massively, we're gonna have cars and we're gonna keep using it. And the elements here, it's hot. You're not gonna be working in downtown in a 3-piece suit and take, and unless you absolutely have to, and have to wait at a bus stop. It's right. Hard, especially in the middle of the summer. So we have a lot.
I didn't think about that. The weather has a lot to do with public transportation.
Of course, the weather has a lot to do with public transportation. So unless we fix it so it's easy, it's inexpensive, it's efficient. Like, you're not going to leave the comfort of your car to go wait at a bus bench, and it's going to take you the same hour and a half or 2 hours to get where you need to go when you could sit in the comfort of your vehicle. So we have to find better solutions. Traffic is all over South Florida.
I don't think it's completely a government's problem because, look, my assistant, I let her work until 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that she doesn't watch my back after work. Mm-hmm. I mean, at home, she can still do a few things. Yeah. She has a laptop, but we chose that. And that way she can have a little bit extra time to go back home.
And actually, COVID taught us a lot of that, right? That we can work from home.
That 4 day a week is sounding good, too.
I do believe a lot in the human connection. We can't lose that human touch. For me, that's super important. Like, I want to see people in the office, but flexibility is also important, and understanding that, especially that the generations that are coming after us really have this expectation of balance and what that is, and that they want to be able to work from home and have hybrid schedules. So we have to be flexible to that too. And that'll help some of our transportation issues. But I was painting this picture for someone the other day, and I said, you come to Doral on a Saturday or Sunday, do you have traffic?
No, after hours. 7 o'clock at night, nobody cares about traffic.
We're a 15 square mile city, which is bigger than Coral Gables.
Okay.
You can get from one point of our city to the other point on a Saturday or Sunday in 10 to 15 minutes tops. Try doing that in Kendall. Try doing that in
another city,
in
of course.
Coral Gables. Try doing that in downtown. It's hard, and you probably can't do it, which tells you the bulk of traffic in our city is during peak hours, Monday through Friday, because we have so much commercial, because we have so much business. And that's good. We don't want to take that away either, because that is what allows us to have a low tax base. That's what makes a successful city, our proximity to the airport. So it's keeping that balance. When you put in more residential, it doesn't mean that you're going to have more traffic, because residential generates maybe 2 trips, 3 trips max a day. Whereas what is the sole purpose of commercial? To generate business.
Right.
How do you generate business? you have to have people coming in and out. If it's a warehouse, it's how many trucks you turn over.
Well,
so you're going to generate a lot more trips and a lot more traffic when you're putting commercial. And the land is not going to just stay vacant. That would be ignorant to think that, the land is just going to stay vacant
and I don't think the
forever.
government should tell me what I want to develop. It's as long as it's within the municipality ordinance or zoning option, I don't think the government is going to tell me. Now, can steer me.
Right. We do to a certain extent because that's called planning, right? You have professional planners that will help design the city to be that balance, that live, work, learn, play, that expectation that people move here for. You want to have a good balance to be able to, you don't want a residential building in the middle of an industrial zone. It just doesn't make sense.
The zoning won't allow it, right?
A lot of times. So I think for me, the challenge has been the education component to the residents of, trust in the fact that professionals that are educated on all of these things are making the right decisions. Your job is to make sure that you educate yourself on who you're electing to make sure that the person you're putting in that position is trustworthy. So that when that building goes up, you're like, okay, they had to have had a reason. And that elected official is accountable and will answer your phone call and be able to tell you to your face why they did something. That's what we have to ask of our elected officials, right? So sometimes, I get people that are like, oh, you sold out on Doral and you allowed this to happen. And I'm like, why don't you come and ask me first? Because I'm a neighbor. I live here too. I'm affected as well. I have, investments here. I care about this community. Somebody asked me the other day, what does it feel like to be mayor? And I said, it feels like having 80,000 children because I feel personally responsible for all of our residents and our businesses' life, welfare, quality of life. I feel responsible to making sure that people that live here viven en paz y en tranquilidad and have a good life, and that their kids, you could raise your kids in a good community. So when people come in like, oh, you sold out to Doral, I'm like, that's offensive because I give up a lot and I've invested my time into this community, and I'm not asking for pity or thank you because I do it voluntarily. I've put myself in this position. But please trust in the fact that you elected someone that does care to make the right decisions. So I always tell people, it's okay to question me, call me, ask me. I give my cell phone number to people and I'm like, send me a message. Don't just listen to the media. Call me and ask me, Christi, why is this? Now, you may not agree with me, and that is okay too. And I could make a mistake and I may be wrong. The difference is que te voy a dar la cara. And I'm going to tell you, you know what? I made a mistake. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to be righteous. I think that's what we need to ask of our leaders and of our government officials, right? Is that we're human. Your job is to go out and try and elect the best person possible. Once you do that, trust them that they're going to do the right thing. And if not, you vote them out on the next one.
I live in the city. You live in the city. I don't think we have traffic compared when you're going elsewhere.
What?
So that's why I like it here.
And we do.
80% of the people that have problems with traffic don't live in the city,
right,
but yet work in the city or come to do business in the city.
Right.
So if you think there's too much traffic and your business is here, buy a property in Doral.
That's right.
Buy a property over
Live,
here.
work, learn, play. Live our model.
And then that problem will be gone.
Yeah.
Now, from the real estate, when I started this business about 26 years ago, I figured, well, how is it good that I get involved with the community, with the city, right? It wasn't a municipality. It became a municipality. Right. I got very involved. I saw the first group of elected officials convert this into a municipality. And I remember, just going out there, knocking on doors, supporting financially. I thought it was very important for me to be involved, right? But now I would like to speak to all the real estate agents in this community, in this city, that they have the voting power. To try to get them to unite to realize that it's very important that they together, as we do what we do and we make what we make, fees by transactioning in our community, how it's important to choose our elected officials. Give me an idea. Why is it good for agents, real estate agents, to get involved with the community?
Oh, I think it's super important. Well, number one, and I've done this with a couple different groups, real estate groups, where actually one rented a bus, like a double-decker bus, and they took me and we went around the city and I told them about all the projects that were coming. A lot of them had questions. They wanted to learn more about the city because you guys are our marketers. You go out there and sell the city. So it's good for you to know what's happening and be involved. So I think it's super important for the real estate agents to care not only about decisions that we're making, but get knowledgeable about the growth of the city, what to expect in certain places, what not to expect, understand zoning. I get calls a lot of people are like, oh, I rented this place to this business and now they're having trouble with their occupational license or their use. And I'm like, well, you rented to them a use that they can't do in that building. It may not be your fault, but we can't give them that permit because they don't have the parking or they don't have the use. We don't allow that use in that zoning category. So I think it's really important for agents to get more knowledgeable about decisions that are made at the government level, not only for who they're electing, but for who they're selling to, so that they know. And the more knowledgeable you are, the better you're going to be at your job. So I'm all about that education component. And I'm always available to sit with our agents, or if anybody has a group of agents that wants to do like a webinar, or I'm more about person to person, or like a workshop, I'll be there. I will teach you. I will show you our zoning. I'll show you how we make decisions, how our administration makes decisions based on legislation and policy that we've set. Can policy and legislation be changed? Absolutely. And there's been many times where we've had to do it because the growth of our city has demanded it. So it's really important for agents to get involved. You're an important piece and component to what we do in this city.
That's right.
Because you're out there marketing our city. You're the ones that are attracting the businesses to come and open up businesses here and create more jobs for our residents, and then finding places for those new businesses that are living in, that are opening their business here, for those people that work there to live in our city. And so it's a huge component and an important one that could be a big benefit to the city. So get engaged, get involved, come to our council meetings, learn about it. I'm happy to host if you've got agents that want to do a workshop, that want to learn more about this, or we could do a tour of the city like I've done before, where I've shown them, different opportunities that exist in the city, or new
what
projects
every department
that are
is for,
what
how
every
can you get
department is.
information.
100%.
I mean, I got to the point in my career that I don't do that anymore, but I already have the key individuals that I would pick up the phone and says, can I do this?
Right.
And that's the beauty of having relationships.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. It's so important to be able to pick up the phone and ask a question and make sure that you're giving the right information to your client, and that you're steering them in the right direction, because that's your reputation too, right? If you rent a place or you sell a place to somebody that can't do the use that they wanted, they're not going to be recommending you to the next person, right? So, having that relationship and that ability to pick up the phone and make a phone and call and ask, I think is super important.
Having a new family, what inspired you?
I told you I fell into it.
Oh, is that what?
I fell into it. Really, it was. I would be lying to you if I told you I knew what I was getting into. But you've known me since I was young. I'm not one to say no. I like a challenge. Mi abuela me dijo desde muy jovencita, Christi, es mejor ser útil que importante. It's better to be useful than important. And that always stayed with me. And so I've always been driven to give back to my community, be involved, learn. The more educated and the more knowledge I have, the more opportunities and I have presented to me. And so I'm
and now you love it.
And now I love it. I didn't ever think, I had no idea that I was gonna love it as much as I do. And I think even more so, it's like, I wish more good people would stay involved and be involved. And it's just really frustrating, and it's hard, and it could be very demoralizing to see some of the things that happen that we don't even think could possibly happen.
There's a dark side of politics
that could happen. So I understand why good people get out. Mm-hmm. And so it's frustrating to see, and I don't want to be one of those. I want to fight the good fight for it, as long as I possibly can. And so I got involved thinking it was one thing and saw it was another. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't allow this to happen. Now I know, it's like, they pulled back the veil. I'm like, I can't unsee what I've seen. I have to fix it. And I've tried. And so I never thought I would be in politics. It was all really by mistake, all of our friends' fault. Who said to me, you should run for office. You could really fix things, and look at what's happening, and showing me all these injustices. And I was like, it just boiled my blood. I started to watch council meetings. I started to see like a young city that was like, I was not happy with a lot of the things that were happening, and I wanted to raise my family here, I had my business here, and so I felt I could be more useful. I could be useful to this and do it differently.
I mean, your
And I think
kids are
that's what it's
here,
done.
your family's here. I personally, now I understand with the local level, because obviously it's 2024, a lot of elections, a lot of things going on right now. Decisions need to be made. You don't realize how important is that vote. That vote
And the
with
local
somebody.
impacts you. I mean, the federal always impacts at some point. State too. State is actually getting more involved in local than ever. So you have to be watching out at the state level too. But your local really affects you immediately. We decide your tax rate. So like what your property tax are going to be. So that could be a huge hike. I mean, we really make decisions. The roads that are paved.
Crime.
I mean, crime. We really impact the local,
children.
effects.
I've seen this community grow. I remember there was cattle everywhere. So I made money. I sold properties 3 times.
Yeah.
So I'm completely invested into this.
Doral.
So I will like to see. I don't trust politicians that much. I just happen to know you. I know your family. I know what you're about. I don't really look that
You've
much.
seen me fight.
But I've seen you fight, and I can tell you, I just love the cause. I love what you're about. I don't know what your experiences are, but you have the backbone to be as big as you want to be, Christi.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you, what you've done.
Thank you.
Florida is getting a lot of attention nationwide.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that, right?
Yeah.
Back in the days, we used to be
the
the Miami
free
Vice
state of Florida.
place, the Marielitos days, and we always had this cloud about what we were doing.
The stigmas,
but now
stereotypes.
the big dogs are moving here.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be here.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And when I tell people, no, this is too expensive, figure out a way to live like the Japanese or the people in Paris live, small, nice, in the middle of the city. You don't need a lot of space. Figure out, but don't leave Miami. This is the place to be. This is the epicenter to many places in the world. From a city standpoint, how are you being taken? How do you look at this from?
I mean, we have to capitalize on that Miami-Dade County and South Florida in general, and actually just the state of Florida in general is really where people want to move.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all the elements. Literally, we have great weather, for the exception of like hurricanes, which we've been lucky with. But I mean, we've got great weather. We have, I mean, good government in a sense of like open enterprise government. You know, not a lot of regulation. You don't have state income tax. So yeah, you have a higher cost of living. But I mean, look at the mistakes other states have made. California. I mean, a lot of states that just have not been very friendly to the people who made their life there. And so I think people have taken notice, and everybody is wanting to come to Florida because we're business friendly. You know, we're not perfect. I just said a lot of things like watch the state. They're encroaching into local. You know, there's a lot of local stuff that happens. I'm dealing with it right now to a micro level. What's happening in our local government. So there's problems, but the overall of the concept of government in Florida is a good one, where we have to be concerned with your basic needs, your quality of life, your health, your life, your welfare, you know, making sure that you have security, that you have paved roads, that you can open a business, that we're efficient, low taxes. Like those are the basic general needs and requirements of government. Everything else is extra and above, and that's where you start entering those danger zones. And I think that Florida does that really well. And I think there's things that we could do better, but people are obviously taking notice and moving here because it makes sense for many reasons. And also depending on the type of business you're in.
It's expensive for the local people.
It's getting
But when
more
you're in New York
expensive.
and you're starting to look how much is a 3-bedroom apartment, we're cheaper here.
Well, of course.
We don't pay state tax.
We're a deal compared to what you're getting in in places
so
like
for the people that have been living
New
for a
York.
while, this is starting to get expensive, but not for the ones coming.
Right.
Which
Right.
is what happens to now.
And we just have to make sure we keep a good, healthy balance. Make sure we do continue to take account and be accountable for the people that have lived and made their life here, like the senior citizens, which that's a big focus I have in our city, is that we don't have senior housing. And I would love for us to have some senior housing in a city like ours that's grown. We need to provide a space for these seniors who have fixed incomes to move into a location where they can have good quality of life and services. And that's going to open up inventory for new families that are looking to grow a little bit. And that's, and it's a shift of inventory. It's not new inventory. It's making inventory that exists available. What you're seeing is you're having multiple generations live in one household right now. And so in Doral particularly, it's because we don't have that product for the seniors. So that's something we're missing in the city. And I identified a couple years ago, I said, I want to focus on this. And so I have some projects that I think hopefully we'll be able to see come to movement very soon. But it's a need. We have an aging population now, and we have to prepare for that.
So you became a mayor, what, a year ago?
Yeah, it's been I don't know, 17 months, 16 months.
And I seen the opposition for, I will say, previous administration, because who else? Fighting you hard on what you're doing. And what you're doing is obviously very good. Otherwise, nobody will be on your case that way. We elected you, the majority elected you, and now I can see something happening. I don't really want to get into with details, but this November, we all got to get out there and just
absolutely. I think,
watch your back and have your back.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I think that, and I really do feel supported by our community. I'll tell you, I think people are so aware, and it's because of the way I changed the game on how we should govern and how we should be in the community and accessibility. I've opened the doors of government, full transparency, engagement. To me, there's no turning back, right? People can't unsee what they've seen. And that's, I think, what's frustrating to, let's say, the old guard, right? Is that I've shaken it up. I've done it differently. People saw that change. They felt it. It's funny because right after I got elected, like I had barely done anything yet. I just had a different perspective on how I was going to lead. And people told me it feels different in Doral. Like people just told me it just feels different.
Yeah, indeed.
And then we started to do everything we said we were going to do and bring more cultural events and ramp up the park that had been sitting for 3 years. And I rolled back the pensions and I did all these things that I said I was going to do.
The whole pension thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they went to war for us, I don't understand.
Yeah.
That public service and you're getting paid for the rest of your life, that kind of money.
I mean, teachers that work their entire life to educate our children.
That's crazy.
Don't make that money after 30 years in the public service because they're public servants too. Nurses. And so I think it was egregious what they did. And I was very open about that. And by the way, I tell people something like I took it away from myself. Hello. I could have been making that pension for the rest of my life. I'm 37 years old. I could have made a pension for the rest of my life, $100,000 a year, and
for serving a couple of years. That's for serving
insane. 8 years.
That's insane.
I didn't think it was right. I really, truly, fundamentally did not believe it was right, and I said that from day one. Winston Churchill said it best, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact quote right now. It's like, you've done something right when you have opposition, people against you. It's because you've done something right. It's unfortunate. Like I said, politics can be very hard and you get people that end up getting out.
No. But you know what the good thing is in style right now? It's in fashion that if they go after you, it's because you're doing something good. Yeah. Look, it's looking at and from the national side of it.
People felt Doral's change in 1 year. And so to have like this dramatic, dismantling of everything we built in a year, unnecessarily this shakeup in our city that wasn't necessary because people were happy, I think made people pay attention. And sometimes things have to happen for people to open their eyes wider. And so I'm not happy about it, obviously, but I believe everything happens for a reason.
No, and I know, obviously, for reasons of democracy or checks and balances, there's 5 people sitting there, but we chose a mayor. We chose a leader, and now having that leader being boycotted and attacked by the rest of them is something fishy going on. And I do know because I've been around. Don't ask me outside the mic. I know the whole thing, and I know what happens, and I know what's going on. But at the end, it's only one vote. Yeah. Or in my household, several votes, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to put it together. But just to encourage you, like I said before, it's in style now to be bombarded and attacked, and it's only going to push you higher.
And like I said, it's just a different way. Now we have social media, we have communications, we have a way of engaging the public that we didn't have before. And so that also makes a difference. And so, welcome to Welcome to the new era of politics.
That's true.
But I'm not, I'm not
It would
intimidated.
be on posters and flyers.
I'm not intimidated by what's going on. I don't like it, obviously. I'm not happy about it because we worked really, really hard to get here. This was not handed to me, very well. I worked very hard for this community. I really care. I really mean it when I say I feel like I have 90,000 children, because I really do feel like every family here I'm responsible for. And so when you mess with our city, it's like you're messing with my child.
Yeah.
Because I really care that much about it. And so, I always tell people, I go, you can do whatever you want to me. Like, I'm not gonna, whatever, I'll get over it. Now, do something unjust to somebody or something that didn't deserve it, and you're gonna see me upset. And so I will fight fearlessly for this city, and for the right thing. And, it is what it is. I won't get tired. Yo no me rindo. No te rindes. No me rindo
And that's good.
Eso,
Good
no.
to
And
know.
to me, there's no turning back.
Good to know.
There's no turning back to the old days of how we used to do things, because now people see what it is to do things differently, and it's good. It's good. It's good to open and be transparent and show everything. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I've never told anybody I'm perfect and every decision I'm going to make is right. No, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to try not to, but I'm going to make mistakes. And as long as people can hold me accountable, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do the right
Christi,
thing.
the majority of this city 17 months ago chose you. And somehow you're getting the wrong pressure from the wrong people, and they're not going to be able to go against you, because the majority of this town, love you and see what you're about.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy. I feel good.
November's around the corner. It's already, it's already hot. We're almost there. So I always tell people, I'm like, just hold on till November and come out and vote, get educated, learn about the candidates.
A lot of people are going to go and vote.
Yeah, learn about the candidates, and there's a new way of doing this. So, look at that. It's not always about who's been there the longest.
No.
No, I think there's a new way to serve, and there's a desire from people to see that and to elect that. So I'm super excited about what's to come. This city is incredible. By the way, I'm not stopping. I will continue to work hard. I will continue to get our things done. Listen, when I was a council member, I had the council against me too. It was 4-1 half the time. And everything que me propuse hacer, everything that I wanted to get done, because it was good for the city, I got done. They couldn't say no to me because I was focused on what is good for the community. I was focused on the interest of the public, not my own interest. So they could never vote against me. And that's why they would get so frustrated with me, because they wanted to vote against me, but they couldn't, because they were like, if I vote against her, she's going to go out there and tell everybody that I voted against special needs kids, or I voted against this. Yeah. And so because I focus on what is good for the public, they can't stop me from doing my job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Anytime. I love you guys. You guys are great. And whatever I can do to keep supporting the growth of those who do your industry and real estate in our community and educate, I'm here to do that. I'm happy to do it anytime.
Let's hustle for you on November.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Christi.
Thank you.